Hey, everybody. We're here. Instant reaction. Another loss, believe it or not. Florida State is 1-5. They lose to Clemson at home, 29-13. A margin of loss much better than I think almost everybody on the staff predicted, the Knowles 24/7 staff, but still one that's got a lot of great discussion points. And I want to start off with I don't know really the tone that I want to start this off with, because as a game, as a singular event, it was better than what I thought it would be. There were some positives to take out of it. You had some lumps from the young guys with a lot of positive performances, both on offense and defense. Your veterans failed you on multiple occasions, which is just like this will be stamped as the youth movement game. So there was some positives to take away. On the whole, Florida State is an elite college football program. Florida State spends a very large amount of money each year to be competitive in college football, including this year. You are 1-5. This season is a failure. This game was a failure. I don't want to give too much credence to the, hey, we hung in there. It was a game longer than we thought it'd be. Because overall, I don't want to be contributing to degrading standards. For the amount of money that you put into being a fan of this program, for the amount of money that the school puts into this program, for the amount of money that's injected into this program, this season has been an abject failure. This game was an abject failure. It is in a string of abject failures. You failed to eclipse 300 yards of offense again. You had about 250. You had 22 yards of rushing. For a team that was supposed to be built as like the backbone was their running game, it's a failure. This season is a failure. We're going to talk about some positives. I know this may be overkill because I do want to talk about some positives because there are things to build upon. Overall, this whole thing sucks. Thank you for sticking with us. Thank you for sticking with the team because you've been put through something that you didn't deserve. Adam, go ahead. I feel like I needed to say that because we're going to be saying some positive things. And I don't want to get too optimistic because the overall product for what you put money in sucks. But
Yeah,
there was some things to build off of.
We were kind of talking about it beforehand. Like, I don't know. I kept like saying to you and saying to some other people, like, I felt like defense was playing well, and I felt like they were giving you a chance throughout the course of the football game. And like I felt like, yeah, they were giving up yards and giving Clemson, drives, but you kept kind of getting stops in the red zone. You kept getting the ball back to your offense with minimal damage done, and like giving them a chance and giving them a chance, and then like you got 198 yards of total offense at the end of the freaking game, and like you've got 13 points, and like I don't know, man. I just can't like am I happy about the defense because they like am I just excited because they played hard? Like I don't want to give them credit for that in year 5. Like I don't want to give this team credit for fighting in year 5 or for, oh wow, we found a young guy that gives you a spark. Like what the flipping burger are we doing? Like
right. It's
I mean, like straight up, like whoever the decision makers were for building this roster, you got to go. You got to go. You got to go. I don't know if it's Ray. I don't know if it's Mike. I don't know if it's a combination of everybody. I mean, I'm sure it's a combination of a lot of folks, but like whoever signed off on bringing in DJ, whoever signed off on continuing to play DJ, like you've got to go. You've got to lose your job.
Yeah, that's fireable.
Absolutely.
Fireable 4 games ago.
And the thing about it is that as you see some of these guys that stepped up, the Amari Williams, the Landon Thomas, Brock Glenn, I thought showed some very positive signs of life. All the young dudes. Think about all the money that you invested in the veterans that have been playing over them.
What did you hold on to? What did you hold on to Kyle Morlock for? What was the point of that? What did you go get Malik Benson for? You couldn't find another single wide receiver on the freaking planet that could go give you more than what you're getting out of Darion Williamson. And look, this is not a shot at those guys as men. They're nice. No. I'm sure they're great young men, but holy shit. What were you watching? What were you evaluating? Because if you were evaluating that nobody was better than that, you are not good at your job.
And that's the thing. It's not so much even what you've put on the field and how much you dedicated to it. Now you're looking at some of the alternatives that are coming on the field, and it's like the sunk cost, like, oh my God, all the money that we invested in A, B, C, and D, why the hell didn't we invest it in F, G, H, and I? And the results could have been markedly different because you have seen so many people that you were even tangentially associated with. The Carter Smiths of Indiana, the Cam Wards of Miami, the Jeremiah Smith. I know the Carter
best pass blocking offensive tackle in the freaking Big Ten.
It kills you, but there's some dudes that you were not even like in the realm of like fantasy land, guys that you were super involved with, and you made different decisions. And if you would have made 3 or 4 like other ones, your season could be markedly different.
Not only did you make different decisions. I'm sorry, Trey. I know I'm
no, you're good, dude. Because you're good.
Not only did you make different decisions, but the guys you decided not to go on, but then like you completely botched handling it because you're like, okay, well, these guys are just going to want to come here because we're Florida State. We went 13-0 last year. We've shown all of this great ability to do things with guys out of the portal. Like, quit sniffing your own farts. But bro, I mean, like, this is why you're in the Pac. This is why you're in the Pac-12 and not in the SEC or not a big boy. Like, there's a reason for that.
What really pisses me off, especially about this quarterback stuff, is you did this exact same thing. What, 3-4 years ago when you had no options at quarterback, you had a dynamic quarterback that you weren't fully sure about in Jordan Travis, but you brought in a hobbled veteran and Mackenzie Milton, and you played him, and everybody in the world said your offensive line isn't that good, and this guy has no mobility, and it's giving you nothing, and you just refused to look that reality in the face to the point where you lost the most embarrassing game I've ever seen Florida State lose to Jacksonville State live. And so then you made the change. You played Jordan Travis. And I'm like, okay, I can hang my hat on, this staff made a terrible decision in evaluating Mackenzie Milton. We got excited about it. Understandable. You didn't have a good enough roster to back it up. But the one thing I've said about the staff is it feels like they want to learn. It feels like they want to grow. It feels like they want to be a better version of themselves. Then you get to 2024 and you find another hobbled veteran behind a sketchy offensive line, and you play him for entirely too long until you're 1-4 and you're forced to play somebody else. You made the exact same mistake twice. The same exact mistake. Period. End of story. It was in your face. Everybody saw it happening. Everybody saw it happen after the first game. It was obvious, and you refused to change. This is the definition of insanity. Doing the same thing over and over, expecting a different result. What is wrong with these people? What kind of brain dead? Any sort of positive you saw from Brock Glenn was a giant red flag waving over this offensive staff who thought that DJ was a better option. That thought Mackenzie Milton, after a leg surgery and a year off of football, was a better option than a raw Jordan Travis. These guys are consistently making terrible quarterback decisions and is consistently losing them games at the beginning of seasons because they have to lose a few games before they're willing to change, and it's infuriating, and heads deserve to roll.
Yeah, it's a Dire Straits song, dude. You're living in the Twilight Zone. Like, it's ridiculous because it reminds me, it's a similar experience now to when you watch the spring game of Florida State. It was like when the offense does good, you feel kind of wary about the defense. Except now it's like when the offense does good or a young guy that was getting buried by an expensive veteran that was unproductive does good, you start to feel bad about your own coaching staff. Like, it's bad. Like, they were calling you impotent on the broadcast. Like, you were Flaccid State University. It's not great. Like, it's bad. Like, we'll talk about the entirety of the game because the overarching feeling is that, man, knowing what you know now, what you saw in the offseason, the decisions you could have made, the absolutely opportunistic potential of the decisions you could have made, even with the same amount of money. If you would have divvied up that same amount of money in different ways, you could have been so much more of a productive team. We'll get to that. I think articles will be written, discussions will be had, whatever. But let's get to the actual game itself. A 29-13 loss to Clemson. Adam, what did you think about it? We went through the gamut of emotions in our group chat. I was pretty disgusted with the defensive performance in the first half, just with the philosophy, the way they decided to play defense, just that Adam Fuller method, I feel like assaulted me in the face. However, in the second half, and when you judge the performance in totality, 29 total points, I think if you look back at the stats, Clemson deserved way more than 29, but 29 is what they put on the board. It was a good performance by the defense, and the offense really let you down. What did you think of the totality of the game? What did you think of the performance? What do you think that Florida State can build off of from this?
I mean, I think you can continue to build with some of the young guys that you've got that came in, and we will get initial thoughts out, then try to address it. Okay, sorry. I'm just reading this response. I thought that you've got some young guys that you are finding you can get out there and try to build some semblance of an offense with.
Mm-hmm.
It's just you don't have an elder statesman that you can build with. Like,
no, there's no veteran presence.
Mo lets you down time and time again. Like that, he was a guy that you thought you could rely on, and he's failing you. Like, and I don't quite understand it. Darius Washington, like, it's a guy I've sung praise after praise after praise of, and he's failing you time and time again. I mean, these are elder guys that you thought you could really just define your program around, and they are just letting you down. But you've got young guys that are stepping up: Amari Williams, Landon Thomas. You saw them go to Lawayne McCoy on some third downs tonight,
Mm-hmm.
not throw the ball to him, but run him out there over some older guys. Brock Glenn showed Brendan's favorite word, moxie, tonight.
He did, though. He really did. There was a marked difference with it. I don't know if it's attitudinal. I know the decision making, even if once again you got the lumps, the pick in the first half was nasty, but he did have some quick decision making and a trigger. But there did seem to be, we're big analytical, like what you see on the film, guys, but there was like an aura difference. There was like an energy attitudinal difference, right, Adam?
Yeah. I mean, Brock just, I don't know. Everybody seemed to play a little bit calmer around him for the most part. You found Hakeem Williams, who's a guy you've got to get the ball to.
Yeah.
You found open tight ends when they were there and available, and you got the ball to them. I don't know, man. This offensive line is just failing you miserably, and it was the thing that you evaluated coming out of summer camp, like that you were the highest on it. It is just letting you down in a absolutely ridiculous way. Like, I did think that they pass pro'd a little bit better tonight. I'm curious to watch it back when we do film review. Curious to see some of the data behind it. Like, I thought that they did pass pro better. I mean, this is an elite defensive line they were going against. Those guys were going to get some of their pressures throughout the game, and they got some sacks. But it also just seemed like Brock made them look a little bit better when he was kind of moving about and not just standing there woefully incompetent and not being able to do anything.
Double clutching, like not moving out of the pocket, not stepping in. And you're right, Brock did step into many pockets. I think that the story of this team, when you look back on the postmortem, is just how much they banked on the running game offensively.
Oh.
And they banked on it so much. And not only did it fail to meet expectations, it's arguably the worst in the country.
Man, like everything, every week it's about like recruiting, and it's about, they have just failed to build a good roster, period.
Yeah.
Going beyond just recruiting. Like they didn't recruit well enough. They haven't recruited well enough. That's well documented. And I'll allow Zach and those guys to bang that drum and talk about that. But like the story of this season is just how bad of a job you did building this roster. Like you just failed. You failed in every way. Like you just didn't do a good job. You went out and said, I'm going to bank on DJ Uyunglele. And kudos to DJ. He came in here. He's tried his best. Like I don't want to like feel like I'm bashing on players.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not trying to do that. Like I am getting to the point now where I'm ready to bash on the grown men getting paid a shit ton of money to make those decisions. Like I've tried to lay off and not do that, not to piss people off, but it's getting to be pissing people off time. Like you brought these guys in here and you failed miserably. And these were your decisions. You better start wearing that shit. You better start wearing it to this freaking fan base. You better get up there and say, hey, yeah, maybe I should have played Brock a little bit sooner because he gave us a better chance to win than what DJ did.
The thing is, it's getting to the point where the performance, we know the performance, but the evaluation was so far off. We did talk about it. Like there was not much that we talked about in the preseason that was predictive of what was going to happen. But I know that we talked about, man, they are banking a lot on this run game, and they really think a lot of this run game. And so much of what they brought in and what they're going to do is predicated off of how good this run game is. And this run game is the worst in the entire country.
They're going to pull from Oregon State. They're going to try to do these things to set DJ up. Run game to
none of it.
None
of it. Kev, I want to talk to you because you were there in the stadium. You left at halftime like a reasonable person with a high mental health quotient. What did you see? What did you think the story of the game was like? And what can we build upon from the future, like for the future games that we have to trudge through?
You guys know who the leading rusher for Florida State was today, right?
Brock Glenn, right?
Brock Glenn. 3 carries, 25 yards. That includes sacks. Yeah, that's not good. Let's see. I mean, I think it was pretty obvious. You have your tight ends are good. They haven't been ruined yet. Your young tight ends. So Landon Thomas, Amory Williams. Those are guys you could build around. You got some young linebackers, Nicholson, Cryer, who look okay. I thought Omar Graham looked pretty decent today.
Better. He had a better game for sure.
Daniel Lyons had a few big plays. I think KJ Kirkland's someone you want to build around. I think Hussey's someone that you don't want to build around. I think that I think you need another answer besides Kevin Knowles at slot. They were going after him. I think he's a guy that knows where to be, is in the right position, but I think he's just physically limited. And I think teams know that. Offensively, Hakeem was, he looked like he wanted to be out there. He looked like a receiver that was there. Ja'Kai Douglas continues to be the only receiver that, really has a pulse out of the veteran group. The drop by Kentron, even though it was negated by a hold, was very disappointing because he's been someone that you can at least trust to, do the one thing receivers have to do, which is catch a football. The consistency and being unable to understand that you need to come towards the ball on quick screen passes.
Oh, that's a great point. With the quick screen passes, I know that they're the bane of everybody's existence. They're the bane of our existence watching them. There is a legitimate reason that they're called, but they're executed so poorly. They're executed so passively, right, Kev?
Well, yeah. I mean, you need to come to the ball. That's where the hole is. Did you see
how they ran it against us?
Touchdown because they understand where the hole is supposed to be. What do they not understand? How basic plays work? Do they not understand how football works? How is every game? There's a handful of things where we're like, wow, that would be embarrassing if I was a high school football coach, that my receivers don't know how to come back to the football on a screen pass. That would be embarrassing if I was on a high-end middle school football team, if my wide receivers didn't know how to do this. If I had a drop rate that looked anything like this, regardless of the quarterback, I might be asking serious questions about how I'm coaching my wide receivers, because clearly something's not working. And it's not that Johnny Wilson was broken out of birth and didn't know how to catch footballs. And it's not that all of these guys didn't know how to catch footballs. Maybe we need to start recruiting guys that can catch footballs because we clearly can't teach them how to catch footballs.
Kev, I what I'm getting is, and I think you're being very subtle about it, we may be out on the wide receiver development area. Like we're not happy with that.
People want to give this is a hot take. People want to give Ron Dugans credit for Johnny Wilson. I think Johnny Wilson was being underutilized at Arizona State. I do not think they used him well. I don't think they threw it to him well, or threw it to him enough. I don't think they used him appropriately in the offense. I think he came in here, was slotted into a position where he was going to be more successful, had a decent season, had a good season. He looked really good in his first season at Florida State. Mm-hmm. And then the drop issues got worse his second year. So that tells me that, I don't think that was a linear upward progression that he was on thanks to old Coach Dugans. And honestly, when you see receivers dropping the ball like this, but what's so hard about it? What is so hard about it is I want to blame Ron Dugans because all of his receivers are having trouble catching the football, except for Ja'Kai Douglas for some reason. However, the tight ends are having trouble catching the football, and we put a running back out wide who is wide open, and he should have got a better ball, but the pocket collapsed early on him, and he dropped the football. And we've seen Lawrence Toafili drop the football.
It's
so maybe
it's a systemic issue, yeah.
Right. If you replace Ron Dugans, the drop issues might not be fixed. Maybe there's something else going on. I have no clue how a whole team forgets how to catch a football, but this is a basic skill that you teach children how to do. You need to catch a football when it hits your hands. Right. I do not understand.
There's some pervasive issues within this group. Like what you're talking about, like guys that have been in the system for 4 or 5 years, how do they forget how to catch the ball? Your center. Mo had what, 4 egregious, terrible snaps tonight? Brock saved a couple. Like this is crazy. When you're trying to integrate a new quarterback with some young guys on that side of the ball, you have no foundation, no veterans to build upon. You don't have a steady hand in the middle of your offensive line like Mo Smith, calling protections, having decent snaps, calming the people around him. No, he can't even do the first thing that a center needs to do consistently. You've got 76, Darius Washington, a guy that was on the all-ACC watch list that is just
called him an All-American.
No. You've got nothing there. And you've got dudes that you're integrating next to them that are new that have no solid foundation to build upon. It's tough, man, because they made some awful decisions in the preseason. They made some awful decisions in personnel usage during the middle of the season. But my God, they've made some awful development and coaching of guys that have been in their system, locked in, bought in. Why are the older dudes so much worse than even they were when they started? That drop from Darian Williamson, we've seen drops in games. That guy has been a darling of the practice media for a good reason. They're not making it up so they can look stupid during games. Why can that not translate? And if it cannot translate, why is it out there in a critical situation? It just drives me nuts. It drives me nuts. I know it drives you nuts. Let's move on from there. Adam, what do you think was the main takeaway of this game? And do you feel more or less positive on your outlook for the rest of Florida State's season based off of this game?
No.
Wait, no. What's the takeaway? What's the takeaway for this?
What's my takeaway?
What is it? What is a takeaway? It's like, oh, this is something that will carry forward to. We got to buy, right? We got to buy.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
We got to buy. What is something that's going to carry forward to the next game that is consistent?
You've got a quarterback that'll at least fight for you.
God, so minimal.
and a defense that I think when the game matters, they're going to show up and fight for you.
Yeah.
Just don't think you got a lot else going on, man. Like they haven't quit. Like remember, I mean, all the talk coming out of the last game was, did they quit? Did they quit? Did they quit? Like I remember, the little OTB this week, like Zach and Brennan fighting over whether they quit. I mean,
we speculated if they would after the Memphis game because there is not a lot to play for other than tape for the league.
Like they didn't quit, so I mean that's a good thing. I don't know, man. I just don't know how you got this wrong. I can't. I mean, I think I do, and I think it starts with a couple people, but I just don't know how you got this wrong.
I don't know how you did the same thing you did 3 years ago.
I just don't get it. Like I got the Mackenzie Milton one. It made sense. There's a history. The kid was tough coming out, at UCF. Like you took a chance on that.
You didn't have many options at the time. You were limited in options.
Of your program rebuilding coming off of COVID when it was an absolute mess. And then like what? I mean, like why did you take that kid at quarterback? And like I'll be very frank and honest. Like I was okay with taking him because I thought you could at least were going to build an offense around him he could have success with. Not only did you take him, you talked about building an offense around him he could have success with. Then you didn't go build that offense, and then you failed miserably in evaluating that you didn't go build that offense.
That's what's more alarming to me, Adam, is you took him after an extended hand-wringing session, like will we, won't we, whatever. They ended up taking him.
You kept playing him.
And then, but then even before that, you took him. It's like, okay, shit, this is our guy. And they took all these guys that they thought would be complementary pieces, and they had the entire preseason, spring camp, all that stuff to be like, hey, we're going to build this effective running game around him. We're going to foster his talents. We're going to make it good. It's not that they missed one or two times. It's that they missed like a dozen times over like a 6-month period. Like, that really, like that's the thing that gets me. It's the depth of the depravity of their decisions. Like you were so wrong, so terribly wrong for such a long period over so many decisions that
it's almost like they were good going and building an 8-4 kind of team. And they went after that, and they were content with trying to do that and trying to nickel and dime here and there and making making bad decisions on where you were going to invest some of your money and retention on your roster and giving some guys raises that didn't really earn them.
Mm-hmm.
And then look what your 8-4 roster build got you.
I think I just realized something.
State, dude, you're Florida State.
What are you thinking, Kev?
So, we're all playing this new college football video game, right? And when you're recruiting, you're like, to heck with the overalls. I just want the fastest speed. Just give me the highest speed wide receiver I can, and I'll just make something happen. I don't care if he's 65 overall and has no awareness or no catching.
Block hands, yeah.
Give me the fastest guy I could possibly get. Let's peruse track times to see who we should bring in as transfer wide receivers. I think that's what they did. Yeah. Like on a real level, nothing against those guys. I think
there was so much excitement about this is the fastest team.
They're so fast. They're so fast. But are they good at football? Do they know?
Translates.
Like there might be a reason why NFL guys are like the highest 40 times aren't always the best players in the NFL. Like, I don't know. It feels like they went with a very weirdly elementary approach with a lot of these portal takes on the offensive side of the ball, especially. And they just have not worked out.
All right, let's talk about this. Norvell from Briley. Norvell said recently, guys are allowed to improve. Problem is the coaches need to have the ability to honestly assess whether or not guys are capable of improving. Not only that, I think they also need to be willing to assess whether they're doing the things necessary throughout the weeks to help them improve. Like there's a reason at this point where we haven't seen a lot of improvement out of the offensive line in 5 years. Like some of it's what they've got. Some of it's the talent that's in that room. But some of it also might just be you're not getting through to them the way you need to. Like,
there also needs to be an assessment if you have a position group that has not really shown signs of improvement. You're in year 5. You're in the absolute depth of your tenure. Most college coaches wish they could get to a year 5 at a school like Florida State. You're there. If you're not improving, why aren't you improving? Who are the facilitators your improvement that are failing? And what do we need to change? There has been not like, I will be alarmed if there is not a widespread change across the board on a lot of areas, because you can't keep going through life like this, man. You miss so many things.
And you just can't be so married to your evaluations, whomever those evaluations are from.
Oh, they got to change. You got to pivot on that. Yeah, absolutely.
You can't be so married to your own evaluations that you don't see reality.
But
like, you've got to be willing to say, we missed.
How did they go from being so good at evaluating the portal? Like,
which prime is not the answer. Jiminy Christmas.
Yeah, let's not even discuss that. I mean, how do you get Johnny Wilson and Keon Coleman like back to back out of the portal? And like, you have some talent out of the portal in the wide receiver room, but like the portal takes this year just I don't know. They just haven't worked out.
Well, there's a clear we talked about it on this show. We talked about on OTB. The methodology coming into the portal, the players that they were going after reacted much differently to the pedigree and the offers that Florida State was throwing out than they thought they would.
Mm-hmm.
They thought that the reception that they would get from the guys incoming the portal, the interest that they would get, was actually way less than what they got based on pedigree, based on reputation, based on past success, whatever, a miscalculation. After they missed on that initial wave, they decided to rely back on past evaluations of high school talent, which the main benefit of the portal is that you get to wipe away that like patina of high school evaluation. With high school evaluation, there's so much like forecasting of talent and forecasting of ability. Once they get into a college program, they acclimate and they get on the field. You get to wipe that potential away and you get to see what they actually do. They took a bunch of guys and they disregarded what they actually did as a college player, and they forecasted, they wish casted, in my opinion, on that potential they had in high school. And it bit them in the ass.
Yeah,
we know all these guys. We know all these dudes. We recruited them in high school. Let's pretend like the first year in college didn't happen. Throw it out the window, and let's just bring them into the fold. And it bit them in the ass because they did it way too widespread, in my opinion.
I've seen some people talking about like they panicked. Like, I don't necessarily agree that they panicked. I don't think they panicked. Like,
they resulted to comfort. They got comfortable.
Yeah, very much so. Like, oh, we knew Ferguson, and yeah, you went out and won a battle for him, but I'm not sure how much of a battle it really was in the end. Like, I think they were going against Southern Cal or maybe A&M. I can't remember at this point, but like,
yeah.
I don't know, man. I don't buy that the other schools were battling for that kid. Like, we saw the clear flaws on tape that we watched, and we're not nearly as smart as a lot of these guys are. Like, no. Yeah, I mean, you went out and whiffed in the beginning because I don't think you were that prepared for it. I think you thought these guys were all just going to want to come play for you. And whoever made that decision, kudos to you, buddy. Kudos to you.
Put a pin on that. That is going to be a widespread, multi-episode discussion in the offseason, things like that. Moving forward, are you more optimistic, Kevin, about this team's outlook after what you saw that they did tonight, outperforming all the staff, the Knowles 24/7 staff expectation of the game? Do we think that they have an outside shot of a bowl? Do we think that they may creep up on a team they were not supposed to? With what you saw from the integration of youth, could they integrate more youth and have some more beneficial outputs? What do you think?
That's a good question. I'm gonna say I think you've got a top 30 defense. I think that's about where they've kind of settled, around the 30th best defense in the country. you were in the mid 80s. I think that was overrating you a little bit in terms of offense. I think you're probably worse than that. I would say with Brock Glenn, your offense is better. Period. You do not move the ball like you did tonight with DJ at quarterback. I am confident about that. Because that's a darn good Clemson defense that you went against. There are holes there, but I think that the offense definitely looked better. I think we're probably going to be looking at like a top 60th offense. So, I mean, that puts you in the conversation to beat Duke, to beat a North Carolina team that's not very good, to beat a Charleston Southern team that, I mean, honestly, and to beat a Florida team. I do.
You're looking like 4 or 5 wins. Like you've got the blueprint for 4 or 5 wins, right?
You have 4 or 5 winnable games. You're not going to beat Notre Dame, and unless Cal continues to fight Miami, you're not going to beat Miami. So can you put a fight against North Carolina's not good. Florida's not good.
Florida is much better than you.
We'll see.
Florida's going to run DJ Lagway.
But you're in there. But he's not saying we're gonna win 4 or 5 games.
I'm not projecting those as wins.
Yeah, we're not projecting. But now with the team that you have, they are winnable, which of course is a pathetic standard for the Florida State University, for the fans that are listening, for the money that is spent on your program. All the things we are talking about are unconscionable. They are not honestly like reasonable. You should be mad. You should be yelling. This sucks. It's crap. It's whatever. Get mad, and you should. Anyway, back to the conversation.
I mean, I don't think you're in contention for a bowl. You're 1-5 right now.
No, you're not going to.
You would have to win all of those toss-ups. Yeah. I think it's a toss-up against North Carolina, Duke. I think you're favored against Charleston Southern. I think you'll be slightly disfavored against Florida, and I think Notre Dame's going to. It's going to look a lot like this.
You're fighting for 4.
Here's the thing that worries me the most. Like, we're 1-5 now. Like, the concern about quit has been legitimate up to this point. It hadn't happened, but at some point, like, you're only going to continue to play more young players, and those more young players are just going to continue to make more mistakes for you, even as they develop and grow throughout the rest of the season. Like,
right.
Those mistakes are going to compound themselves in some of these toss-up games, and they're going to get you L's. I think at this point, like, wins and losses aside, all that other stuff, like, you just need to be finding hope with younger players throughout the rest of the season. Guys that you feel like, okay, this is Andre Otto. Had a rough game tonight. Does he go get better in 2 weeks when he comes back out on the field? Brock Glenn, does he build off of this performance, or does it just continue to look the same the rest of the season? If it looks the same the rest of the season, you probably aren't talking about him you shouldn't be talking about him as your future quarterback. Getting Luke Kremenhawk some snaps and getting him an opportunity to get in there and find some development of his own throughout the rest of the season. Mekhi Danzy, Cam Davis. I mean, you just need to be finding glimmers of hope for these young guys the rest of the way.
Yeah, my opinion, and we talked about it in the group chat, is that Mike Norvell needs to be coaching, not so much for wins, which of course is once again a pathetic thing to say at Florida State University. Mike Norvell and his coaching staff needs to be coaching to produce a product that they can sell for years. They need to put a product on the field that they can sell to high school recruits, to transfer portal recruits. Whatever they put on the field, it needs to have a tangible quality of, hey, I'm putting this on the field because you would fit great into this. You would fit great into this high school X. You would fit great into this third-year guy from X. Like, there is an opportunity for you here. Obviously, winning would be the salve. It would be the balm that, like, covers over all these injuries. But that's not what you're going to do, dude. Wow. The season is lost. The season is garbage. The season is inconsequential. You need to put a product on the field that is successful and that you can sell, knowing of your limited sales ability of you and your staff on the trail, to get people to want to say, you know what? I want to be a part of that. Good effing luck it's tough. And you don't have you don't got an easy job, but you're making a lot more money than I am. Figure it the hell out.
Yeah, I mean, I
Anything
think your
else?
job the rest of the way is like trying to find a way to ensure you're going to go win 10 games next year.
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't think you can win. I don't think you can keep your job winning less than like 10, maybe 9, like whatever, like 9, 10 in that ballpark. Like you got to bounce back next year, and you better find the nucleus for that team right now. These next however many games, like you better find that nucleus for next year's 9, 10 win team starting now with whatever you're going to go evaluate and bring it out of the portal also to go alongside of it.
Yeah, you better have a lot better forethought and foresight than you have had in the past. Kev, anything you want to add before we mercifully end this thing?
No, I think we said it all. The conversation needs to be about this offense, how poorly it's performed. We're celebrating scoring 13 points because a quarterback balled out. We're celebrating holding Clemson to 29 points. This is a game that we mostly predicted Florida State would win at the preseason. The state of this program is unacceptable. We know that. Brock Glenn looks like you can build off of that. So that's exciting. You know, I think genuinely give props to Brock Glenn. He put his heart out there. He played hard. He tried to win you a football game, and I think all this talk about broader systemic issues is fair because you're 1-5 at Florida State. But credit to Brock Glenn. Honestly, credit to the defense. I thought they played hard. I know we put a lot of qualifiers on there, but I will say when the offense isn't giving you a lot, it's hard to go out there and want to put your body on the line for a game you know you're going to lose anyways. They did it. They held Clemson to 29 points despite having average starting position on the 33, which is not very good. But you know, I thought they did okay. So props to those two groups. And outside of that, there's serious questions on the staff, serious questions in this program. And this is not okay. And it will continue to not be okay. So then you figure it out.
Wonderfully said. We will obviously, our job is to analyze the micro, the macro, but like the intricate decisions that make up the totality of these games. As a whole, for you, the fan, the listener, the consumer, the lifeblood of the Florida State football product, you need to shout from the rooftops. This is not acceptable. For the amount of money that everyone has put in, the school, the community, the investment you personally have put in, the product that you are receiving back is so substandard to the amount of investment you're putting in. Absolutely disgusting. You should be mad. You are allowed to be mad. You should be loud. Continue to be loud. Let them know that this is not acceptable. We are not Illinois. We are not Rutgers. We are not some ho-hum Mac bullshit team. We have put a bajillion dollars into this program over the years. You are in a fertile recruiting ground. You need to demand better decisions from the people that get the money, and you deserve it because you are giving the money. So do not take all of these things, these qualifiers. We look at every game individually. Every game individually. The compression of decisions that make up a game. Overall, you deserve better for your investment. Continue to make that investment because obviously if you pull the investment away, the team's only going to get worse. Continue to be as passionate about the program as you are, but demand better because you deserve it. And guess what? This program needs you guys way more than they are putting out that it does. They need you, and you deserve better. Anyway, love you to death. Thank you for sticking with us. We're never going to leave. See you for the next one. Keep chopping.